What's going on, everyone? Canoe Lyson here from Nitro Snowboards, here to give you a quick rundown on how to customize your nitro bindings to fit your boot perfectly. And the main thing you're going to want to do when doing that is adjusting the heel cup, forward or backwards. And why would you do that? Well, because you don't want too much toe drag and you don't want too much heel drag. So, to get to it quick, how to adjust the heel cups on our Nitro Zero team bindings and our Rambler bindings and our women's Poison and our women's Ivy bindings is adjusting these heel cups right here. These bindings, just as a clarification, are the Nitro Zero bindings that I rode this spring. So you're going to want to adjust the heel cup back and forth. But how do you do that? There's only two screws. There's only one screw on one side and one screw on the other side. Well, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to unscrew the screw on this side, on the inside, not all the way out, just enough so it gets loose. And the screw on the other side. And the same there, not all the way out. And what's a key would be to use a number 3 screwdriver, because that fits perfectly into all of our screws on all of our nitro bindings. So you're screwing, and once you get it screwed out, then you can adjust the aluminum heel cup here forward or backwards. Forward, backwards. It's free, it's loose, it's easy to adjust. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look on the sides of the bindings on the base tray, and there's markers that say LMS. Those stand obviously for large, medium, and small. And on the aluminum heel cup on the inside there, you can see a small little notch up there, and that notch indicates whether your heel cup is set to the large, medium, or small setting. Me, I'm a medium, so I always match the notch up to the M, standing for medium, and then I get a centered stance over my board. But let's say I have a size 7 foot. Then I'm going to want to push the heel cup in so the notch matches up to the S, which stands for small. And once you do that, all you got to do, take your number 3 screwdriver, boom, 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 screw it in, screw it in, screw it in on one side, and go to the next side, boom, 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 screw it in on that side. Screw it all the way nice and tight, and make sure to remember to check all your hardware before you go snowboarding. It's just a general rule. There you go. Now you've adjusted your heel cup and your boot fits perfectly centered onto your snowboard. It's that simple. Hey, how's it going? We've been getting a lot of requests lately about how to adjust the forward lean on a binding. And what is forward lean? Forward lean is basically simple. So a 0 forward lean, your high back stands straight up and down. And that means it's a little more loose and less responsive from going to your heel edge, from your toe edge. Because when your boot flexes forward onto your toe edge, it goes like so away, and then when coming back to your heel edge, it takes a little more time to hit the high back to put pressure onto your heel edge. A lot of half-pipe riders always ride with forward lean. A lot of carving snowboarders ride with forward lean. A lot of freestyle park rail kids, they always ride usually with no forward lean. It's basically just it's a personal opinion. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Personally, I ride with 0 forward lean. Just because I guess I'm not as precise of a snowboarder as a lot of people. I just like a looser fit. But if you want forward lean, it's super easy to use on these toolless adjustable forward lean adjusters on all of our Nitro Highbacks. And all you do is you take this lever right here, flip it forward, and then you can move it up or down. And there's multiple settings in the middle, so it's kind of, when you're snowboarding, you can play around with it to see what setting you like the best. When the forward lean adjuster is at the bottom, lock it into place. That means you have maximum forward lean. So then you have a more responsive, more precise ride. If you want less forward lean, then you push the forward lean component all the way to the top, lock it into place like so. Boom, there you go. You got minimum forward lean. You got a nice loose skate feel ride. Toolless adjustable, you can do it on the fly. You can actually, midday, you can go from the skate rack kid with 0 forward lean to the full max forward lean by flipping these levers, pushing them down, locking them into place. Boom, there you go. You got the most responsive, carving, friendly, half-pipe, die-hard snowboard setup around. Forward lean, it's that easy. A lot of people like to rotate their high backs. What does that mean and what does it do for you? Well, it means that you take your high backs, you rotate them inwards usually, so that they become parallel with your heel edge. What that does, it allows you for more even pressure over the back of your boot, and also makes it just a little more natural feeling when riding. It's not necessarily something you have to do. A lot of people don't do it, a lot of pros don't do it. It's kind of a thing, it's like you're tweaking your setup. It kind of depends on what you get used to. But if you want to rotate your Highbacks on these Nitro bindings, what you have to do is there's 2 screws on the back here, on the heel cup, and you're going to want to unscrew both screws, one on each side, all the way out so they pop completely out. See, screw out, screwing out, got it screwed out. Tip is to try to keep the washers in place. It just makes it easier for mounting afterwards. Then you take the screw on the other side and you screw it all the way out. Unscrewing, unscrewing, unscrewing. And once you get it completely unscrewed from the bolt on the inside, you dismount it, set it aside. Once you have dismounted the screws and taken the strap off completely, I would recommend taking your screwdriver and pushing ever so gently on the bolt, the connector bolts on the insides here, each side, gently. That allows you to easily push the Highback wings together and take the Highback off. It's completely off. So normally the Highback comes with the bolts centered like so in these 3 options on the side. 1, 2, 3. Bolts always in the middle. So what you're going to want to do is you want to offset your Highback. And that means that the bolts can't be in the middle because then there's no rotation. If you want to rotate it, then you're going to have to move these bolts 1 to the back, like so, and 1 to the front, like so. And what that does, it rotates the binding Highback. And you want to rotate the binding Highback so it's parallel with the heel edge. And I would recommend not pushing the bolts all the way through because that makes it easier to mount it back onto the binding. You find the holes on each side and you push through with your fingers like so. Make sure you turn these bolts so the Phillips head is parallel with the ground, and that makes them go in because they are flat on the top and bottom, so they fit in perfect. Like so. You push the bolts in and you make sure when you look from above and down or down the line that the Highbacks are parallel to your heel edge. Once you get those bolts planted back on, you take your strap and you screw the screw back in. Don't screw it all the way in, but screw it so it gets engaged, like so, one side, and then gets engaged on the other side, like so. There we go. And the reason you don't screw it all the way in is because you want to make sure that during this process you have not moved the heel cup forward or backwards. So you look at the markers, and there's an S, M, and an L, and whatever size you usually have it at. If I'm a size 9 boot, so I usually have mine centered at medium. So I'm a medium, so I make sure that my Highback is, the 2 lines match up to the medium. Once it's there, I finish screwing in my screws, one on each side, get it all the way tight, make sure it's nice and tight and snug so it doesn't come out. And I would recommend always, just as a great rule of thumb, is to always check your hardware before you're riding with any bindings, because that just makes sure that stuff isn't going to come loose when you're riding, and you just know that your gear is all lined up for the day. It's just a smart thing to do. So now that you got one Highback rotated, all you got to do is the next one, and then you got rotated Highbacks, and then you're going to have that sweet customized ride that you've always wanted. Simple. That's how you rotate the Highbacks on both the Nitro Zero, the Nitro Team, the Nitro Rambler, the Women's Poisey, and the Women's Ivy. Good luck!